I was on a plane. I took a plane at 1 a.m. from Colombia, from Bogota, to be here. You know, I was lucky to get a little job, at this, in this era that we're living. And I said, the only thing I care about is being back for this screening.
Well, I want to tell you, this is a packed house. I'm not going to say what kind of code violation is happening here, but this is a lot of people for us. We had an overflow out front, which you saw. These people have seen a beautiful film, and when they're done, there's a beautiful lunch waiting for you outside for you, courtesy of DuVernay, so we're happy that you're here. The intention, though, to come back here, to be here, to speak to your work, is what I know you as, an intentional, deliberate, very focused, kind-hearted filmmaker whenever we cross paths. So it means a lot to me that you're here, and all of us, so thank you. I want to ask you a little.
And it means a lot to me that you invited me, and you've been so generous over the years with me, and I really appreciate it.
We're sisters, sister directors. It's a hard sisterhood, but we're lucky. We're fortunate, so thank you for that. So I just want to start with a little bit. We're going to get into the film, but I do want to start with a little bit of tea. Do you know what tea is? Chisme. Tea.
Tea is chisme?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. I heard that you were dating the cinematographer of this film. There was a torrid romance on set, and that you married him. Is that true?
But it happened earlier. So there's the husband right there.
Where?
I've been very, very lucky because he's been my cinematographer, and as Eva would tell you, DP and a director, female director, is a really, really
Very tough.
Really tough thing to get a nice guy that looks after you, that protects you, takes care of your back.
Yeah.
And everything. So at least I don't need to take care of
So
that
important.
part of me as I'm working. And then when I was making this movie, I got pregnant with that one that's right there.
This one?
Yeah.
Misma Luna, baby.
Yeah. Her name is Francesca, and she's gonna be a director too. She's going to NYU next year.
Oh, incredible! Congratulations! Congratulations to them. For you being there. Congratulations. That's fine. Collaborators who really have your back. You never had to worry about it with your DP. Can you talk a little bit about building this film, the architecture of this film, how it came to be, both as story and then also how you chose your collaborators? We were fortunate to have Alicia Villalobos introduce the film. Very rare to have a woman producer, Latino woman producer. But how did you build it brick by brick?
Yeah. So, I'm from Mexico. There was no film school when I grew up in Guadalajara, but I always knew I had to do film. I became a producer because back in those days, there were women that were writers and producers, but there were no directors. So I didn't have a chance, I couldn't get anywhere. But then one day, I made enough money, I said, I'm going back to school. And I used that money that I made to go to Columbia University and did a master's degree. So that's when I became a director. And there was one teacher, one professor, Jamal Joseph.
Oh my gosh,
Yes,
Joseph. Incredible.
In their school.
Is that the Lydia connection?
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
So Jamal, I did a little documentary. My first little film that I did in school was about Gordon Parks and a family, a picture that he took of a family in Harlem, 1968, and the subject of this Life article was this guy that was the handyman in my building, and we became really good friends. And he told me, you know what? I was photographed when I was 3 by Gordon Parks.
When he was 3?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to see this film. Wow.
And then one day I'm reading the New York Times, I see the Gordon Parks exhibition. So I'm like, Richard, is that you? He's like, yeah. So I got a camera and I brought him and his family to see his family pictures.
Wow,
And,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's called Family Portrait, and it's a 25-minute documentary that cost me $500.
Wow.
So I screened it for the professors, for the teachers at Columbia, and Jamal was in the audience. He's like, "Who is that? Who's Patricia Riggen?" Because I've never been able to get an interview with Gordon Parks because I got an interview with Gordon.
How'd you get the interview with? Because you told me you got the
Because
boy.
Richard was really good friends. I mean, they were like, he was his like godfather, you know?
Wow.
I mean, when you know the story,
That's
it's
pretty
the Fontanelle
incredible.
story, you will, for me, it was, you know what, coming from Mexico, arriving in New York, thinking that you're coming to the first world, and it's the richest country in the world, and you see the oppression and the poverty of the black people. I could not believe what I was seeing, you know, because it was like Mexico, and that's how, you know, I started with that movie. And so anyway,
I did not know
Jamal.
that.
Yeah,
When
I'll
did we
send
see
it to
it?
you. It's a wonder. So I sent it to Sundance, and it got in, and it won the jury prize.
Wow.
And that was like cheaper to make the movie than to pay the hotel. The script about a mom and a kid that they were separated. Like the origin really of the story was, you know, they were separated, and he remembered like the description of the place, and I thought, oh my God, this is so powerful. It was different because she used to find the man, the love interest, and kind of the boy went into a second place, and then it was about the Paco, and I'm like, no way, this Paco has nothing to do. So what I did is I decided this is a love story between a mother and a child. And I moved the the encounter to the last page of the script. And that's how it became. And then I kind of found that metaphor of the under the same moon, and that became the title.
That's incredible. It's a beautiful title. I
And,
remember the first time I saw
and
it.
the other thing that was really important was that Alicia really stood by me for a few years while we would develop the script, and I was trying to set it up, and I set it up at a studio, and they were not, they were like, can I have a theatrical release? They're like, no, they were gonna make it for 1.5. And I said, I can't. Back in those days, there was no streaming. Going straight to video was not the best thing to start your career with. So I said, can you guys give me at least like a festival window? No, we can't give you a festival window. We can't assure theatrical. So I said, you know what? I took it and I left.
That's great.
I know, I felt like my hair was gonna fall off. But I was very, very lucky. I went to, I got some public money from Mexico, the Mexican Film Institute, which is such a wonderful place where all the Mexican filmmakers that you know got money for their first movies. And then I got some private money from the US. It's like one of the only, I think, incredible American-Mexican co-productions. They don't exist. Is that crazy?
No, not too much.
And we did it.
How
We made
much?
the movie. It was 1.7.
Okay.
It was 1.5, and then we went a little bit over. But the interesting thing is that when I screened it at Sundance, I was able to get into Sundance probably because of the Gordon Parks little short film like 2 years before. So, but it was a little too commercial for Sundance, so it was not in competition. It was like in a side thing. And then that night after it screened, there was like a bidding war.
Wow.
And suddenly, like every studio head came to offer money during the night. Like it was like every hour or every half an hour, every studio president came in. And I was pregnant. I had nausea. I was just taking like the Tums the whole night. And then the same studio that didn't want to give me that came in and offered 4.5. And I said no.
Wow.
I you guys didn't understand it. You didn't care.
I love it.
And we sold it for $5 million. And it was really good. Especially for a Mexican movie in Spanish. Directed by a woman. That was very rare back in the day. We're talking about 18 years ago. Because she's 18. So that's 18 years ago.
You can always track it by. So the 18 years that have passed, you look back on this film now. How has what it's meant to you changed? It meant so much. You pushed it uphill. You got it done. You sold it. You started your career with it. You look back now. What has it all mean to you?
Okay, the most important thing, the reason why I made this movie was when I came to LA from New York, I realized that there was a whole city of Latinos and Mexicans, and there were like two cities, the servants and the served. There were like two, I couldn't believe that I had so many country people, so many Mexicans around me, taking care of the kids and the gardens and taking care of the whole city and not being acknowledged by anything, by anybody. And so it was like love letter to my people. And where are we right now?
Right.
It's like the worst nightmare. It just back in those days, the movie made an impact because there were some protests. There was that happening, and I remember some journalists saying, "Oh, it's just giving a face to a statistic." The kids that were coming in, but now we're in like a really, really bad place. And it's very sad what's happening to my community, and there's no end to it for a little while. We just need to survive for a few more years. But it's become again, sadly, very relevant, the movie. People are watching it, people are putting it in Instagram and talking about it because we're just in the same or worse place.
Yeah, and I just have to give a shout out to Pepito. Pepito here?
Not
in here.
He's working.
Who works with Mercedes Cooper, who works with Tulane Jones. There's Pepito. There's your shout out. Great job. But the team wanted to share the film because it celebrates Mother's Day, but also speaks to the moment. So thank you for the work. Let me ask you some questions about your filmmaking, because as a woman director, and that makes films about something. I'm often asked about race, class, culture, politics, and I never get asked filmmaking questions. So I want to ask you a little bit about your directing. Okay? Now, the casting for the film. You are a brand new director. You have to make decisions about who's going to populate this world that you've been thinking about. Not even specifically talking about each of the casting decisions here, but generally, how do you approach deciding on who you want to collaborate with?
Well, that first one, because it was with the studio at the beginning, they wanted me to cast like a famous lady,
Eric Estrada,
a famous lady. And,
that's how they do. They just will say whoever. It doesn't even have to match. They'll just. Isn't it ridiculous?
It is.
The list they give us for people.
But in this case, fortunately, I was introduced to Kate del Castillo, and she's a really nice person, and very talented. And I said, they gave me the list, and I said, okay, Kate, and then we met, and then they couldn't even close the deal with her, and I'm like, who am I working with? It was part of it. And then when I left, I called her. I said, you want to do it independently? She's like, yeah. We kept the date. We became really good friends, and she was just wonderful. And then the other guy that came in was Eugenio Derbez, who I know my people know who I'm talking about. And he was
huge star, just so for folks who don't know.
Well, today he's like considered like the biggest Latin actor, period. Like the biggest, bigger than like Javier Bardem, right? And he was a comedian, a television comedian, and they told me, about him, and I met, and I'm like, this guy is really charismatic. So he was gonna have a little role, they were gonna do like Paco, and I met him, like, oh no, this guy has to be Enrique, and he was fabulous. I changed his look, because he used to look like Pee Wee Herman, and I'm like, no, he needs to be attractive. I say the long hair, the earring, like a little beard, so which he didn't look like comedian, and then he's like the whole time, like I think it's the first dramatic role, his first movie role, and this launched his career, in not
here,
in movies.
In movies. 'Cause some of you may know him from Coda.
Yeah.
He was in Coda, but I mean, the career in Mexico is like, he's like a, I kind of think of him like a Robin Williams, kind of. He can do the comedy and he can do the
He's big like
dramatic.
an Eddie Murphy. He's like big. He's the biggest.
Yeah, super huge.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
doesn't do a lot of drama. He should do
No,
more.
yeah, he should. He's really
He's
good.
great. He's great.
I was in a
very
directing
lucky.
class with him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in a directing class and I was like, oh, nice guy, what do you do for a living? Go back and forth between here and Mexico, like on my plane, like just like truly a huge
Because
star.
if he walks out, like you can't shoot with him. Like when we were shooting these scenes in East LA, he had to put a jacket over his face
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah,
until we said,
Yeah.
you know, action, and
Yeah.
he would take it
Huge.
out so we could now shoot. Because if they saw him, it would be
It's a
a
wrap.
round.
yeah, it's good. So in the film, you are doing this really beautiful balancing act between the perspectives of the mother and the child. I thought it was a really mature, rendering of the story for a first-time director. Now, I know you had a master's in film and had all this other experience, but it's challenging to keep two perspectives and balanced. So what was your approach to making that happen?
And you know what? Another, female angel that came to me. I had a cut and I showed it to Maggie Greenwald because Checo had photographed something and met her, and he said, you should meet her. She's a woman director, and gave me the number. I'm like, Maggie, can I show you my movie? And she saw it and she gave me the best note. She said, okay, you can't do this. It's balanced. This is not gonna work for you. It's the boy's story. And I sacrificed the mom. And I thought, Kay was so generous that did not hate me because I brought her down. And then the boy shine.
You still feel her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's now it's
Feel her
now it's
through
the
his-
right balance.
Yeah.
But it used to be like a lot of her story, and it truly is a boy's story. And the moment the movie begins is when that little boy gets on the car with America, and so she gave me the best advice, and I did it. And ever since I know that we sacrifice anything we need to sacrifice in order to make the movie work.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get hatred from an actor that went down or you cut him, but you have to take care of the story. The movie is the most important thing, not giving every one of your friends moments in the movie.
It's true. It's really being able to be honest about what you see and what you feel helps. I mean, it changed the film. And how to give notes from a heart place and from a place that our ears as artists can hear it, because sometimes you can't hear the notes if they're said in a certain way. So props to Maggie. Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
so appreciate that, and I just feel more and more that it's like those women that come through our lives and help us and are generous, like you and her. And I'm very open to notes. I am
Yes.
really.
Good. Depending on who they're coming
Exactly.
from. Depending on who they're coming. Working inside of a system that's not built for these kinds of films. And so how do you manage that over the years, just as a
With a
personal
lot of
woman?
therapy. That's how I have all kinds of shaman, hypnotist, massage, everything, So after I made this movie, it was very successful. It made, for a little tiny movie in Spanish, it made $23 million in the box office. Back in like 18 years ago, right? I didn't get a job for 3-4 years. I just walked into every room and had every meeting, and it didn't matter. Like, it was a complete female subject matters. They would still give it to a guy, and they would still give it to a white guy. And I have the accent, and I am who I am, and it just didn't happen. So it was really, it was a real shock. And so I took a movie. I kind of, instead of, by the way, statistically, first of all, women take longer to make a movie after they graduate. And if they have a hit like this one, they don't get a job. But if a guy makes $200,000, he gets a studio movie.
Yeah.
This is statistic. This is not my opinion. So I went to a meeting and I kind of went a step down to be able to get hired. So I did a movie for Disney Channel called Lemonade Mouth. And the generation of young people that saw that, they're like, it's like the best movie forever for them. And I'm very proud of that.
Yes.
So I did
It's a cult
Lemonade
classic.
Mouth. It's so funny because Checo was in that, where's that DP festival that you go to? The,
Poland.
Cameraman.
so Checo was in Camry Match, and this group of young people come to him. We admire your work so much, and Checo's like, what are they talking about? They're like, we love Lemonade Mouth.
Good work, good work. Whatever it takes.
And this is in Poland.
In Poland, yeah.
And these people do movies like very depressing,
Yes,
folk
yes.
festival
Yes.
movies.
I loved it.
Movies for hire, being treated really badly, doing a good job. I think I do a good job. People always love them, but it's just, I feel like I've lost my voice trying, okay. Sorry, I'm gonna talk about being Latino right now in Hollywood. There's just no way to get a Latin story done. Like, you have to move to other communities, because there's just no way to get anything Latino. It's an uphill battle. It never happens. I've been trying to do it for 15 years since I became a professional. And maybe they pay for a script, but they never make it. They never make it. So, at some point I went and did Miracles from Heaven, which is with Jennifer Garner, about a Texas evangelical family.
You're perfect for that.
It's like, but I did a good job because I transformed myself, and it was not about that, it was about something else.
Right.
And I find the heart of every story, and I was very, very lucky last year that I came back to movies because I hadn't been making movies in a while. I did a movie with Viola Davis that's called G20.
Anybody see G20, the huge film on
And it's an
Amazon?
action movie,
Yeah.
and for me, inside, again, the important thing is, I'm making a movie about a black woman being president.
Yes.
That's where the message is,
Yeah.
So it's a popcorn movie, but it's a culture changer, because we're preparing the audience, the people, to accept certain kind of people for certain kind of roles.
Sure.
And that's why for me that was like, this is important, I'm gonna do this no matter how badly they treat me. I'm gonna stick to it, and I'm gonna make it, a great
It was a
president.
fun film. It was great to see that representation of her. It was well done.
Because that's how we change culture,
That's
that's
right.
how we change people.
That's right. Absolutely.
But anyway, coming back to, I feel like I need to go back to my voice. I need to start writing my own movies and trying to get them out there. Because, I need to go back. Because this is still the best movie I've made. This is the
Do you
most
feel that way?
important movie I've made. And it's the one that people still want to see and love. It makes them feel something. I'm thinking, and I did this by myself. I didn't do this with an agent or with the system or anything. So I'm kind of leaning to trying to find that place for me again. If I don't starve before.
Well, I think it's really important to keep our toes in both the studio and the independent space. I say make another independent one. We can do it again.
With like a top, like a toy, ended up with a cell phone. Like it was his transformation during the movie. But he was brilliant. I'm very grateful that he showed up, because he's not the pretty boy. Normally in movies with children, you have like a super pretty angel face and you fall in love with that. Adrian had to be an angel, because it was not like necessarily the prettiest kid. But you feel he is.
Perfect.
But answering to Los Tigres del Norte, because this is a crazy thing I did, because I was young and courageous, and I wish I was like that now. I just decided to put this mega famous band. They have their plane, they go around everywhere. Los Tigres del Norte is like the Rolling Stones of Latin America. Okay, they come from like the people, and they're like mega famous. And I called them, I said, because the subject matter, because this group of fabulous men crossed the border and were singing with their guitars in the street, and little by little, they are Los Tigres del Norte, which is like saying the Rolling Stones. Okay, and then they compose the song, and then I stuck them in that van, and I'm like, this is crazy, it might not work at all. You know, they enter and they acted a little bit, you know, it survived. And when we shot them here, they arrived with a plane somewhere, and then people just showed up from, they're just really, 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 really important musicians. So Mario Almada is the old guy that's dancing with the grandmother. He was like the cowboy of like the 60s, 70s, and you know, his last year, and I'm like, let's put Mario Almada, you know, give him one more movie. And so it's filled with this Carmen Salinas, you know, the lady that does the coyote, how do you call them? The trafficker. She's, you know, she's another like old timer from Mexico. So, you know, it was this this crazy thing that I did of casting all these people.
Well, it's a testament to you that you were able to share your vision and they said yes, and now they're on film forever. It's fantastic.
For the story to work, and then I chose one with 2 murals and 1 phone, and you know, so that one, you know, it's right there, and it doesn't have a mural, it doesn't sell piñatas, but it has the dominoes and the laundry. And it's funny because I shot it in Mexico, the movie, because it was cheaper and I would have more hours with the kid. And then I shot 1 week here, and of course with no budget whatsoever, just stealing, you know, guerrilla style. And
The best way.
and then I had to shoot a location for Mexico. I did it here, and the US I did there. So it's like we really are interchangeable, the cities. And the reason why I could keep it was I didn't have a studio, right? Because if I had a studio, they would have made me shoot it, just in case. Put it in the thing just in case, you know? And I thought, there's no way I can ever shoot this moment better than I can imagine it. And that was, for me, the decision. I'm not even gonna shoot Paco there. Sorry, and nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, very good. Good call. We have time for 2 more questions.
Cruel. And, you know, as you all know, the portrayal of Mexicans in Hollywood has been responsible for how we are perceived in the country and how the government, it's completely related to how Mexicans have been represented. And, you know, people would tell me, are you gonna make a movie about crossing the border kid? Nobody's gonna see it, it's so depressing, nobody was gonna see that. But for me, the most important thing was, let me show my people the way they really are, and not the way they think we are, you know, with this super depressing, dark, just, you know, so this is how we are, the beautiful, with values, the message. I know Alicia told you guys this movie is about abandonment. Yes. It is not. That's how she wrote it, but this movie is about showing why we are here, and we're here out of love. My community crosses the border because they need to feed their families, they need to find their families. It's all about love. Yes. And so that was, you know, showing them the way they are, with their values, with their generosity and sacrifice, hardworking. And then on top of that, they're really fun. So the songs, the laughing, the dancing, the flirting, you know, it's all there. And, you know, I was very proud that they are, you know, we've always been told by Hollywood that there's no audience, you know, there's no Latino audience. Of course, we're like 50 million people, I don't know how many, but there's no audience. So when this movie came out, you would see the families in the grove, you know, the patriarch with a hat and 11 kids, and the movie was really successful, and the audience came, the Latinos came because they gave them a story that they like, that they can relate to, that they see themselves. They don't see themselves in the other ones, you know. So that's why the tone of the movie was very important to balance it. But it was just natural. I didn't need to force it. I just needed to show my community as they are.
Amen. You did that well. Well done. Well done. Some reflections on you did not have a child when you made this film. Now you do. as you look back on it as a mom and as we are on the eve of Mother's Day, what are your reflections about what this film means and how you see it differently?
I remember this really well because I made this movie without being a mom. And then I saw it after Francesca was born. I'm like, oh my God, you know, 'cause I was terrible. Like, I did not know that it's so painful, right? So it changed completely the way I see the movie. But there you go, the actress didn't have a kid, I didn't have a kid, but we did a good job doing it. I think mothers are the best, and we are so grateful for them, and I love that our cultures value them so much. And I'm just very, right now, very, I feel very blessed and very happy that you all came and saw the movie and that you, I think, enjoyed it, and I really, really appreciate you screening the movie and inviting us to talk about it, and I'm just grateful, and you're a great inspiration for me.
And you are
I
too.
really, I'm learning through you're such a special force for all of us, women of color.
Happy Mother's Day.